It's another Friday, it's another What a Shout. Welcome back to the Racing Post weekly feature show with myself, Dave Orton, back in the chair. We're all feeling champion this weekend. Happy days. It is, of course, Champions Day this Saturday at Ascot. 6 absolute beauties out there. We'll be giving you all the big calls on all the big races. Don't you worry about that. Group 1's everywhere. We've got them covered. Some passionate views coming your way. So, talking of champions, who have we got for you this week? Our guest, David Menuisier, absolutely delighted all the way from West Sussex, joins us. David.
Hi. Morning, everybody.
David, it's wonderful to have you. There's the link, because you're coming in this on pretty red hot form, David, and it's a massive weekend for you. We will be looking at the Fillies Mares in particular in depth, but wonderful tonight. She gave you yet another international Group 1. And forgive me for saying this, David, you've won races all over the globe, but surely winning a Group 1 on Arc Day with our heritage, that was the highlight so far of one's career.
Yeah, look, it was fantastic. To be able to win a Group 1 on Arc weekend is like a dream come true. I mean, we won a big race last year. We won the Criterium d'Event last year, but it wasn't a graded race. I mean, this year was just unbelievable. You know, when you can win a Group 1 in your home country, it's very special.
Yes, you started off with a cricket head, if I'm right, and then you studied under John Dunlop. That's right. I'm thinking of some other trainers that you've been with as well. You have done quite a tutelage, haven't you? I had
a tilt in America in the meantime. Yeah.
With Mandela, would that be right?
Yes, Richard Mandela.
It's all coming back to me now. And I say you're coming into this in pretty good form. I think starting the week you had a 40% strike rate with your runners, but the 2-year-olds in particular, David, pretty impressive stuff. I think 4 of the last 5 have won, and the other one was placed as well. What's going on down there?
Yeah, no, look, I always take my time with the 2-year-olds, but when we unleash, we don't have to do it.
Absolutely. Well, you are a target trainer. We'll get to that as well for people out there. Don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook Live or Twitter, hashtag What a Shout, get your questions in. We love the feedback. Plenty for David along the way. He's going to give you a good steer. It's wonderful to hear, David, in 2020, this crazy year, that you've had a fantastic time of it. There have been some lows as well. Dear Thundering Blue, passing away sadly at Goodwood last month. That must have been a huge blow to the yard. He was a horse that we all had so much time for.
Yeah, no, look, it was a huge blow, and obviously, there's a sense of guilt that comes with it. Even though the horse was absolutely buzzing and sound and whatever, when it was meant to be probably his last race, and when something like this happens, it's just absolutely awful. And despite the good times we've had since, we haven't fully recovered. I've got to admit, it's a huge loss. It's more the friend that we lost than the racehorse, really.
For Clive Washburn as well, real colourful character. Yeah, that will be remembered in the obituaries at the end of the year, without a doubt, David. But definitely some stars coming through. Paul Kealy, you've had some time with Clive Washburn before, haven't you? The owner Blue, haven't you?
I disgraced myself.
Can you remember any of it?
Yeah. We had a fair few after racing at Sandown, and we were in the Bear. We had a good chat. His wife was there, and I'm afraid to say I hit the deck when I was saying goodbye. One minute I was about to give her a kiss, and the next minute I was looking at planks of wood on the floor.
You didn't try jumping out as
but no, it was all good fun. We had a good night. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Paul Kealy joins us back in the studio. Happy days. And waiting on the line as ever in the wings from our sponsors, Bet365, Pat Cooney.
Good morning to everyone, and David in particular. I'm a big fan of the stable.
You are, Pat. And you've got we said he's a target trainer, Pat. You've got a question for him, haven't you? There's one venue in particular that David does rather well at.
Yes, absolutely, and it's Sandown Park. I've got the stats here. I think 43 runners over the last 5 years, 13 winners, and I think 16 of them have been placed. So my question to David is, what is it about Sandown Park that your horses like in particular?
Probably the water, I don't know. I've been asked the question so many times, I can't explain it. I can't, there's a feel-good atmosphere there. I don't know. I don't know. I can't explain it. Literally, I don't have any explanation.
we'll get out of David, the winner of the 2021 Isha Cup. Don't worry, before this programme is out. Okay, let's see what we've got coming up for you. We're all feeling champion, as I said, but before that, we'll be looking at the hot topic. Girl power all the way. We'll then be looking at the racing clues from the previous weekend. Plenty has been happening, hasn't it? We'll, of course, be previewing all the big races, just 6 of them for you, absolute whoppers, and, of course, giving the big calls before the naps. If you've not signed up to our sponsors, Bet365, now is a good time to do so. Why? Because we have a referral code. Type in SHOUT365, promo code when registering. Minimum deposit of £5 for up to 100 bet credits. Terms and conditions do apply. Right then, let's look at the hot topic, girl power. Why? Well, I guess we've got to start with Enable, haven't we? She doesn't turn up for the Fillies Mares this weekend. Team Gosden, Lord Grimthorpe, and of course Khalid Abdullah, her owner, have decided to send her off to the paddocks. One of the greats, or never quite got there?
It's one of those. It depends on whether your racing fandom, you're ruled by your heart or your head. Now,
And?
her achievements and what she has done, the races she's won, Group 1s in seasons, ages 3, 4, 5 and 6, they are great achievements. If you wanted to talk in terms of anoraks and ratings and stuff like that, she hasn't put up a performance that you would call brilliant. Does it matter?
Yeah.
I think we'll all remember her as a remarkably good racehorse.
Has that got something to do with the fillies' allowance, though, that she's never been able to hit that racing post rating, as we call it, that 130
Well, no,
magic?
I mean, obviously Winks hit it on regular occasions. She hasn't been able to. So, the point being that if a truly brilliant horse came along, she would have been beaten by it.
But this year in particular, she was very important for the flat season this season.
Well, she's super consistent, but I mean, she's very important for top horses are very important for any season. I mean, at the end of the day, what she's done this season, not her fault really. She won a 3-runner King George. She had another walkover. She got beat in the Eclipse, and she ran way below her best in the Arc. So she probably wasn't as good as she was. You cannot blame them for not running her.
She was on the bride of that King George, though, when it was great to watch.
She would not have added to her legacy had she won the Fillies and Mares.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't have taken anything away from it had she not won it. But, don't blame her for going to stud. She's lit up the racing world for 3 full years, a little bit below par this year, but so what? She was, her achievements were great. Winning 3 King Georges and 2 Arcs. You can't take that away from her.
So not just about Enable retiring then, it's also the girls in the saddle that we want to concentrate on. Why? Because all around the globe, they are really starting to warm up their skills. Holly Doyle, of course, leading the way here. She beat her own record calendar year, of course. We've also got Josie Gordon still pulling it. Down under, there's a race called the Everest tomorrow. Rachel King, Clive Cox's former secretary. She used to ride in point to point. She's got a Group 1 ride on Eduardo. Serious chance there. And Jamie Carr in Melbourne as well. She's been mopping up Grade 1s. David, let's get a line from you.
No, I think, look, it's a great thing. 20 years ago, maybe 10% of women were part of the racing community. Now it's more likely to be over 60%. I'm not a statistician, but you see more and more of them. So it's kind of normal that more and more of them are reaching the top.
Yeah, it's important for the game kills, isn't it, that we have these poster girls.
Look, there aren't many sports in which women can compete with men, and one of the things that's held women back, I think, in this sport until now is the perception that physical strength is so important. And I think at the level of a professional jockey, it isn't. That women cannot compete with men in sports that require real physical exertion, right? But the riding of a horse is so much more to it than just strength, and that's why they can compete, and they can be as good as, and in Holly Dale's case, better than a lot of the male jockeys around. You cannot underestimate what she's done. She's just beaten her own record. Okay, for 117 winners
In a calendar year.
With 10 weeks to go, she's beaten a record, and having had 10 weeks off thanks to COVID, so she's 20 weeks ahead of where she was last year. That's incredible.
Yeah.
117 winners. She's going to set a benchmark. She's going to be around for ages. She's very young. And hopefully she'll bag Group 1s. I mean, she's got rides in all the top races at Ascot.
Yes, she has. Yeah, could well come in the sprint tomorrow.
I'm a big fan. I always have been for a while. Good on her. I hope she has a has a stellar career, as she's promising to have. So many hit that and they get there for a couple of seasons and then they seem to get forgotten about. But I mean, she just keeps banging on the winners. I think she's here to stay.
Yeah. There's a few of them out there. And as I said, an honourable mention for Josie Gordon as well. Pat Cooney, let's come to you. Do you think she's going to give her partner Tom Marquand something to think about in the market for the Jockey Championship next year?
Well, I certainly do. As Keels has just said, she's third in the table for winners ridden this year, and she's got no weight worries. She's fit. She's recently got a good retainership with Prince Faisal, who wouldn't have that many horses to take her away from, say, they've got one runner at Ascot, she's got to go there instead of 5 rides at Catterick. I think she's now in that I'm riding at the Grade 1 track scenario. And the other thing about her as well, she's hardly ever suspended, so she could have a proper crack at the title. Only Ben Curtis and Asheen Murphy are in front of her this calendar year. So why not? I'm sure she's fit enough, she's strong enough. I read that she goes to the gym on a day off, which is something I wouldn't be prepared to do, but she's super fit and super talented.
Great to see racing in the mainstream media. Thanks to the girls. Here they come. Okay then, time for the racing clues. Just another Group 1 action weekend at Newmarket it was. Let's concentrate on that. But we call it Cesarewitch weekend, really, don't we? Like we call it Cambridgeshire weekend 2 weeks before that. The Cesarewitch, next year, we're just going to finally keep it simple and go with that man Mullins.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Because he just wins it. I mean, he won it, Stratum the year before had been a much shorter price to win it than the year before that, than when he did win it. But Great White Shark had been a gamble both years. Obviously, he lost a rider to going to the start the year before. But I watched a video back and I thought, why is it this short? And I thought just didn't run any sort of race at all. And then comes out, obviously the ground was pretty deep there, and it suited her to the ground. Sorry, and she stayed on ridiculously strongly.
Big ride for Jason Watson as well.
Yeah, he's a great. He's a decent jockey, but the trainer's just a brilliant trainer of stayers, isn't he?
Yeah, and you're right, it does tend to come with these horses that aren't that obvious. Isn't it interesting, like Love, when she won the 1,000 guineas, just one representative from Aidan O'Brien, just one representative. Now that may be down to COVID and the travel, but the hint was there, wasn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it was just one. I mean, it wasn't one of the previous 2 years, though, was it? He does tend to...
That's my point. It was targeted this time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was targeted, and... even at halfway, it didn't look promising. I mean, 4 furlongs out, it didn't look promising either. But she's actually won going away, won really easily.
Let's go to David for the Group 1 action then. The Dewhurst, David, what do you make of it as a race? 14 runners, a long time since we've had such an exciting race as that. And Aidan O'Brien, order restored. St Mark's Basilica.
Yeah, I think, look, he won like a good horse, traveled great, and when he came for his challenge, the race was over, really. So, a good old habit, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And Frankie Dettori, of course, getting on the right one. Ryan Moore back in third on second, wasn't it, of course, on Wembley. And Thunder Moon for Joseph O'Brien, so the O'Brien family royally having it. And he took out the Fillies Mile as well with Pretty Gorgeous. Quick word on the Fillies Mile?
Yeah, good. I mean, I just worry about, the race in itself taking place on ground that deep, and as particularly Fillies Mile Day as well. Everything just wanted to go from the front that day. Nothing could come from behind.
You're dictated to by seasons,
yeah, you are dictated by seasons, but you have to question the length of form. I mean, look, Quadrilateral last year went in Guinea's favourite, and she was massively favoured by the way that race played out because they went miles too fast. Now this year. They were all steadily run races. There were lots of steadily run races, and they were just staying in front. I mean, it made me wonder sometimes. I mean, I backed a couple of horses that you knew they couldn't win as soon as they jumped off because nobody. Newmarket is really wide. I mean, there's no reason they can't all race in a line. Like, you know what I mean? But some people just stick to the, we've got to hold this horse up. And when you've got a strong headwind, which was what you had at Newmarket on a Friday, and they go slow, you've actually got zero chance of winning. You are
from 1,000 paradise, it was called.
From the off. So, so I treat all that form with a pinch.
Well, that's interesting. Let's go to Pat Cooney with this then. What reverberations did that have on the anti-post markets? Could any of the beaten horses, I'm thinking Dewhurst in particular, Thunder Moon for me, could they come out and reverse the form in the classics?
Yeah, I was still none the wiser after both the Fillies Mile and the Dewhurst. With the Fillies Mile, I think there was a lot of people thought, well, Rab Havlin, as good as he is, rode the runner-up that day. If Frankie had ridden her as he's ridden her the 2 previous ones, he may just have won that race in it. So that was a head-scratcher, as was the Dewhurst. I mean, any of the first 3 home, I still wouldn't know who's going to be proved to be the best in the Guineas itself. And at the back of my mind, the horse that finished 4th, Devil Wilder, first race for Rafe Beckett. There was a stand side buyer say this one pinged out in front, 100-1. He was still bang there at the furlong pole. Him finishing fourth has made me think, with respect to the horse, it was an improved run and so on. I was just thinking, have we seen the Guineas winner today? I'm still not sure. I just hope we get something a bit more conclusive in whatever the big race at Doncaster is called now, the X-Racing Post Trophy.
The Vertem Futurity Trophy, of course, coming up in a week's time. We'll be covering that for you here on What a Shout. So, to summarise then the racing clues, it looks like going into the winter, it's still a muddled picture for the 2-year-olds. But don't forget, set your clock for next October. Just back Willie Mullins in the Says. Let's hone in on the big action this weekend. As I said, we're all feeling just champion. And at 1:20, Stradivarius comes back onto the track, struts his stuff. But he's go one better than last year, make it 2 wins in the Long Distance Cup. David, let's come to you with this. Stradivarius, the news that John Gosden, Bjorn Nilsson, the owner, are going to keep him in training next year.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's great. He's a fantastic stayer. And perhaps it shows you that the division is really weak. Because if it wasn't, he probably would retire, I would assume. But it's great to see a horse staying around for a long time.
Yeah, you understand about the stayers. I'm thinking about St. Louis George and all that sort of thing. Who do you think will take this out? Is there anything that can beat him? Is he shade of odds on at the minute, David?
I really like Fujairah Prince. I think he's an exciting horse. He's very, very good on his day. And the connections are great people, Andrea and Roger Varian. Obviously, they've lost the 4 this year. I think it would be a fantastic result if they could win. He's a lovely, flashy horse, and I do love him. Yeah.
He loves Ascot as well, doesn't he? Let's come to our resident weatherman then. Let's talk about the ground at Ascot, because Andrea Azzini, I heard him interviewed after he won at Kempton, I think, in the week, and he said basically, when quizzed on Fujairah Prince, he wants wet ground. When he got beaten in the Irish St Leger, he said it was fine. It wasn't quick ground.
I mean,
tacky's not good for him.
I don't think he shapes like an out-and-out stayer at 2 miles, and this is going to be a right test. I was quite surprised, actually. We were talking earlier about, it won't be as bad as it was last year. Now, remember, they raced on the inner course last year because it was that bad.
Yeah.
But the last meeting was abandoned, and their going stick reading on the round course was only 4.6 on Wednesday. That's lower than I've ever seen.
It's got you going,
I went through the Turf Tracks archives, and I was thinking, I still can't find it. Okay, it's had a few dry days, but that just means the round course is going to be sticky as hell. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a test. Whether that suits him. It can't suit Search for a Strong, because he's never even run on soft ground. All right, so then you've got Stradivarius, and you think, well, hang on a minute, he's even money. The 2 second favourites are questionable to me. But then you look at Stradivarius and hang on a minute, he's twice been beaten in this race. Trainer often blamed the ground. We can't blame him on ground anymore because he won the Gold Cup. I think he might need to be fresh. The year he won it, he didn't go to Doncaster for the St Leger meeting. The 2 years he got beat, he was third in the St Leger and he won the Doncaster Cup. The year he won it, he'd had a 57-day break. This year he didn't go to Doncaster, but he did go to Longchamp for an Arc trial. Then he went to the Arc again. And he only won 13 days ago. And I think that will knock the edge off him. I know the trainer says he didn't have a hard race because they were sprinting, but he's a stayer. He's been conditioned to run a little bit faster in his races this year because of going down to 1.5 miles. And I think he's got all the markings of a boil over.
Right. So, with that in mind, and for people that are out there that are tuning into this and thinking, I'm with Keels, and I must admit, I'm with you a little bit on that as well. I think the freshness is definitely the key to him in this race. Because we know he handles soft ground fine, but Kew Gardens definitely outstayed him last year on, tricky ground. What is the alternative? Because if you're going at that sort of price, listen, he's the best horse in the race by some way. What is the plausible alternative to him?
Right, well, I've backed 2 horses. I backed Trueshan for Alan King.
That would be a boil over.
That would be a boil over. He's one of the lowest rated horses in the field, but he likes soft ground, and I think he's progressing. He's run one bad race this year when he was eighth in the Ebor. It didn't sort of pan out for him. I always forgive a horse a bad run at York, but otherwise he won either side of that. He was powering away from Withhold last time. He's got heavy ground form from last year. He looks like he wants an out-and-out stamina test. He's yet to run at 2 mile. So I think he's got a shout. And the other one I backed, first run at 2 mile at the age of 7, Mirando. Now, obviously, he may not stay, but you've got to remember, he beat Kew Gardens by 8 lengths at Chester over mile 5.5 last year. He won the Cumberland Lodge by 6 lengths on bottomless ground at the end of last year as well. And he's shaping now as though he wants further than he's been going. Now, he might not be good enough, but I'm taking a shot. I'm taking a shot on Stradivarius, and the next two I'm betting running below form.
Very interesting indeed. So, Mirando, Pat Cooney, what sort of price can we expect? A plausible alternative he is.
Well, Miranda is 16-1, and I get it. It's got soft ground form. The trip is the question mark, though, isn't it? You look at Stradivarius, though, don't you? He hasn't done an awful lot wrong in defeat this year. Third first time out, over 1.5 miles, that was fine. 2 impressive wins. Second in an egg and spoon trial in over 1.5 miles, and then the Arc was just a non-event. I don't know what was going on with the tactics there, what they told Olivier Bellier to do, but he's just had a jog round and finished 7th. You do look at the Ascot Gold Cup win, and I remember thinking, God, he'll never get beat over 2 miles for as long as he stays at the trip. But he comes with flaws, doesn't he? I think the 13-day gap, you look at him as an odds-on favourite, and he doesn't tick absolutely every box that you'd want for an odds-on favourite. From a bookmaking point of view, I think you just got to take him on at odds-on and just let the punter try and find the winner. I thought maybe Dawn Patrol was a bit of interest. A horse has got mixed form, really, but I thought he travelled well last time out. And as a 3-year-old Pierre-Charles Boudot, he might just creep into the race a little bit. But Stradivarius, of course, no surprise if he wins. Odds on, though, is it wouldn't thrill me as a punter.
If he comes back to his Gold Cup form, this is all over, of course, and the ground will be similar to that, you would imagine. Listen, 3 ticks against Strad. He's the king of the Cup division. Stradivarius, are you with him? 155 then. It just happens to be the Kipco Champions Sprint. Spread across the track they are. I had a little look at the draw for this. Low is not a problem. In the last couple of years, I think it's been 4-3, 10-3.
Well, stalls are far side to start with.
Yeah.
Obviously they quite often put them on the stand side most of the season, maybe down the centre, but now they're far side. They're very rarely there. So what happens is the horses tend to stay there because it's a long way to come over, even when they narrow the track for Champions Day. It's a long way to come over the stand side. The going stick suggests the stand side is miles faster, by the way.
Ooh.
It was, I think the centre was 5.2, the far side was 5.3, and the stand side was 5.6. Which is a hell of a difference. But whether anything decides to actually make that trek across is another matter.
Well, what is the idea of Paul Kealy's winner of this? Are you a dreamer?
No, I'm not. I mean, dream of dreams. Look, you can't argue with what he's done so far this year. Obviously, the Gelding operation has helped. I mean, his best form from previous years is on a par with that, really, the second to Blue Point. But Ascot in the autumn on bad ground hasn't been his bag, has it? Yeah. He had beaten 1 horse home in each of the last 2 run-ins of this. That is not what you want out of a horse that's trading slightly under 2-1.
I've had some burnt fingers in this race, I can tell you. It's just about
the
coming
last
back.
Last two winners, Sands Amali 28-1 and Don Juan Triumphant last year 33-1.
Muhara, would he have been the last odds-on shot to win?
Yeah, he probably would be. It's far more open than it looks.
Yeah.
And for all one master won in Longchamp last time, and just
she's been beaten in this race,
hasn't she?
She's been
beaten in this race. She went close, but even what was a bad run in last year, I thought. What's the third favourite called?
Cape Byron?
That's who I've gone for. No, that's who I've gone for. No, I like Cape Byron. Oxted never run on soft ground, is it? Oxted never run on soft ground.
We just happens to have won a July Cup.
It's going to be bad. Yeah, I mean, he's won 3 in a row. He's won a July Cup. There's no reason that he should really be, nearly 3 times, well, more than 3 times the price of Dream of Dreams. But there was a ground doubt. We don't know for sure. But no, like you, I like Cape Byron. Okay, he hasn't run this year, but first time out last year, he slammed Don Juan Triumphant very easily by 2 lengths on the course in the Bengough Stakes. That's the second time he's won after a long break at Ascot. He's won a Victoria Cup, he's won a Wokenham. There's plenty to like about him. If the ground isn't too soft and he's fitting well, coming here fresh might work. The other one I backed is Happy Power, who's just on a roll.
Also on the far side.
Also on the far side, got a bit of pace, will be up with it, will stay further. Actually, 4 of the last 6 winners of this had winning form over 7 furlongs. It helps when the ground is as deep as it's going to be. And he's a 20-odd to 1 shot as well. But I think you can make a case for lots in this race. Certainly you can make a case for Dream of Dreams being a fair bit bigger than 15 or 8 or whatever.
So we're expecting another boil over?
No, I don't expect them, but I tend to back them.
Yeah, okay, let's come to David with this. Interesting what Kills said there about the stand side being faster according to the going stick. Is that something you might talk to your jockey about? Come on, this is, I want an absolute ploy, or will you just track the pace? How do you approach these? Atlantis Boy has been, highlighting your skills in the sprint division this year, David.
Yeah, no, I mean, usually I tend to let my jockey do what they think is best, really. There's only one track where I give them the choice, but tell them to come on the stand side. It's Newmarket, because I think there's a huge bias, regardless of the ground, when you come on the stand side. Newmarket Rolling Mile. But otherwise, I just let them do their job, really.
So do what you think, but make sure he comes stand side.
That's it.
Who's going to
Yeah.
take out the Sprint Cup then?
I think One Master. I think she's a very good mare. I think she won well the other day, and Budo is coming to ride her, so I think she will have a real chance.
Budo keeps the ride, of course. Pat Cooney, how's the market looking for this? Are we expecting Dream of Dreams to drift?
Certainly will. Yes, I keep thinking he's dreadfully short. I think with these races, this was always the target for him, and as a result, when we're pricing races up anti-post, you think, well, I know he's going to run. It's not one he's going to go here, there, or wherever. He's going to turn up. So you've just put them in short, try not to build up too much of a liability about them. He's plenty short. He's bound to be opposed in the market. And you just look, if you want to back a horse like him at under 2-1, I get the 2020 version of Dream of Dreams is very, very good. He's been gelded. Go back 2 years ago, he ran in this race 13th of 14. Okay, he ran in this race a year ago and he finished 16th of 17. Now I'm asking you to back him at under 2-1 in this race again. It's just too short a price for me. As I say, the draw, we don't know if stall 16 is going to be an advantage. Most of his main rivals in the market have double-digit draws, but as Kim said, that's something like Cape Byron. There was money each way around for this horse earlier on in the week, so he's the type of favourite. You look at him and think, yeah, he could just be vulnerable. He's no bargain at the price. Best horse, yes, but there's other horses to back in the race. My eye's drawn to Art Power in the race. Of course, when he won the Commonwealth Cup at the Royal Meeting, I think we all put him down as the 6 furlong horse of the future. The ball didn't bounce his way next time out, but he ran well enough last time, I thought. And he's got winning form at Ascot, 6 furlong, soft ground. I could see him running well at a decent price, so he'd be my selection for the race.
Sylvester de Souza does, of course, pick him over Happy Power as well. It's a fascinating puzzle, this, isn't it? The sprint race, then, basically. Kill says it's faster on the stand side. Glen Shield with Holly Doyle in 9. Happy Power over the far side. They look like the pace angles. Where are they going to go? Okay, then, 2:30. One stable that will be getting rather nervous at this point, although brimming with confidence, is the man we have on the panel, David Menuisier. Before I come to David, to tell us all about the favourite Wonderful tonight. Exactly how is she looking in the market for the Fillies Mares, Pat Cooney?
Yes, she's now the clear favourite for the race. She's around about 7-2 at the moment, and she has been well supported throughout the week. Once it was clear that the ground was going to be soft. She's got that Group 1 winning form. The punters have latched onto her with Buick in the saddle. It all points to a big run, doesn't it? It's a deep old race, so it would take a lot of winning. But she's filling the money that's come for at the moment. There's money around also the likes of Even, so the Irish Oaks winners. You could go onwards and upwards looking through these, putting out decent lines of form to give whatever horse you pick out as a decent chance. But Wonderful tonight, she's the now filly of the race. Her last run I thought was impressive enough. And I expect a big run from her. And good luck to David and the connections.
Well, I guess the question is, David, how is she? And we'll start with that. You've just come off the gallops, I believe.
Yeah, no, she had a final gentle piece of work this morning, which is just a blowout, and she was really impressive. She seems in good form. Obviously, the real punt is to run, at 14 days, having run on heavy ground the last day. But she ticks all the boxes and she gives us the right signal. So why not? I mean, it's her last race of the season. There's nothing that tells me that she won't run a big race tomorrow. But obviously, we'll only know in the last furlong when the buttons are pressed.
3-year-olds have got a really good record in this. I saw something on your excellent Twitter feed, David, not that long ago. You said basically if we'd have known that Aidan O'Brien wasn't going to turn up in the Arc, you probably would have gone for that. That's how high esteem she's held in.
Yeah, I think that would have been very tempting because we knew that she would handle the ground conditions really well. And when you're a 3-year-old at the top of your game, maybe not the top of your game because I think she'll keep on improving. But when the bar is quite high and you only carry 55 kgs on that sort of ground, to me, she would have been the first 5. I don't know exactly where she would have finished. I'm not sure she would have won. So, look, I'm glad she won the Group 1. If she had been a Group 1 winner going into the Arc weekend, I think the decision would have been simple to make, and she would have gone for the Arc because it did look very open.
She wandered a little bit, didn't she, in the final furlong on Arc Saturday? She beat the right horse, of course, in Pista of David O'Brien's. The 2 came well clear. When Olga Khan horse, whose name escapes me, flying on for third. But she picked up again nearing the line. She's coming back to a mile 4. Was that still down to greenness, David, potentially?
No, I said to Tony Picon, make sure you don't win by too far, So that's why she drifted left.
Make it exciting for us out there. Well, let's hope she wins by half the track tomorrow for you, David. And great news that she's hopefully going to stick around in training as a 4-year-old as well. Okay, how are you looking at this race?
Well,
It's wonderful
I
tonight.
think David hit
the Johnny
the
that's going to win finally.
Well, yeah. Well, I think David hit the nail on the head there. You're not going to know until the last furlong. I mean, the one thing, the one potential negative is the fact that she's only won 2 weeks ago on ground that was as soft as it has been at Longchamp for many a year, and whether that wandering was being tired like this, she did pick up again. She looks extremely tough. She's definitely the one to beat. The ground conditions are perfect. It just depends on whether she can do it again in such a short spurt. A 3-year-old filly to go 2 races on really bad ground. That just put me off slightly. I think she's the one to beat, but I'd be going for something at a bigger price. You know me.
Yeah, ahead of her that day, at a previous day when she was beaten behind Tanawa, was Dame Mayo, who takes the ride for Ed Vaughan, the departing Ed Vaughan. Holly Doyle, this is her big chance to shine. Do you think the reversal might come around on the ground? Was that it was quicker ground when Wonderful Tonight was beaten that time?
I think it's in Wonderful Tonight's favour, but I think Dame Mayo handles soft ground well enough. I think
She won at Newmarket, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
I thought that form could have worked out a little bit better.
Yeah. I don't think it's terrific form. I think Wonderful Tonight's form now is better.
Yeah,
and obviously she really does handle the ground. She like I said, she's definitely one to beat. I've actually backed the lowest rated filly in the race in Thundering Nights for Joseph O'Brien. Just quite interested in the way she won 2 starts ago in the Group 3. She won going away that day, a mile and 2 on soft ground. And then next time, third to KM Pepper, but in a slow run race on good ground. The front 2 were in the first 2 all the way. She was going away from the rest of the line. She shapes. I mean, don't get me wrong. She's by Night of Thunder, but she shapes like she wants a mile and a half. A damn one over a mile 5 or a mile 6, I think. And she likes soft ground. I think she'll improve. She needs to improve a lot to beat Wonderful Tonight. But I've had a little bit each way.
It's quite interesting that they're happy to let her take a chance, having trained the second to Wonderful Tonight last time, isn't it? Very interesting indeed. Certainly the right man at the moment, Joseph O'Brien. I like Even Song at the prices. I think that the Irish Oaks winner can bounce back a little bit. Of course, got to make up that ground on Wonderful Tonight, but I can see Ascot suiting her. Pat Cooney, who's your selection?
Yeah, I'm with you, Dave. I thought Even So at the prices, and prices always sort of dictate your opinion, really. I think to back an Irish Oaks winner, she's hasn't run for 34 days as well. This race is obviously a target for her. She would appeal to me at her price. But I think Wonderful Tonight will be the one to beat.
We're all looking for a price then in the race, but listen, the one man who's brimming with confidence, it could be a first Group 1 winner for David Menuisier. Wonderful Tonight. Is it going to take it out? Leave your comments below. Right then, time for the big calls in the studio every week. A chance to sit back like we're in the pub having a pint or whatever your tipple is, or maybe a rant you want to get off your chest. I'm going to start, if you don't mind. I talked about Even Song for Gerlines in the Fillies Mares. I think he's got a great chance. Have you noticed that Colin Keane has been riding more and more for Aidan O'Brien?
Yep.
Now, that's obviously got a lot to do with the year we've had. But I think that this is more than a hint, actually. He rode a 2-year-old at Cork for Aidan O'Brien. It was an even money shot. He had to win. But it's a half-brother to Sir Dance-A-Lot, the old thinker. And it wanted to go. He was brilliant on it, basically. He won by a short head. He was absolutely fantastic. I think Aidan O'Brien is giving him more than a rehearsal at the moment. Watch out, Colin Keane, I think, will be the next rider to take the retainership at Ballydoyle. Kills.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously very good. They're always looking out to see if they can get the best, and it looks like, his star is in the ascendant, so it's very wise to keep him on board. I am going jumping. The funny thing about the thick end of each season is, when it's a Cheltenham Festival, I have to bury my head in the book finding flat horses to follow for the Jumps Annual, and we're coming up to Champions Day and the Arc and all that, and I've had to put my head in the form book for the Jumps Annual.
What has that brought up?
So anyway, I was having a look, and I was, did you see the run of Green Teen in the Grand Annual?
The Paul Nicholls.
The Paul Nicholls,
Yeah.
5-year-old chaser, running off 150. He'd literally run in a couple of Mickey Mouse chases. I got a mark of 150. I thought that was high enough. He jumped like a stag. He travelled beautifully, and then he had the door shut and his face two out, and did well to stand up there. And then he ran on into fourth. This is a horse that's 5 years old. He is going to be a very, very good 2-miler. There's going to be room at the top this year.
Are you suggesting he's going to win the Champion Chase?
50 to 1 for the Champion Chase. He's 50. A Paul Nicholls, potentially top class 2-miler, is 50 to 1 for the Champion Chase. I think that is a very, very good long-term anti-post investment.
Who's the favourite at the moment? Is it? It's hard to think at this point, isn't it?
The favourite is Chacun Pour Soi and Altior,
who's a horse you're a huge fan
will
of.
Beat 11. I'm a massive fan of Altior, but he's going to be 11. And who knows what's going to get there? But Green Teen's the one. He's a 5-year-old. He's run 4 times over fences. He's already 150. He'd have gone very close in that Grand Annual, off 150 at the age of 5. You know what Paul Nicholls can do with 2-mile chases. He's won 6 Champion Chases. He's won 10 Tingle Creeks. This horse might just be very good.
All right, diverse call there from Keels. Pat Cooney, give us a big shout.
Yes, I had 2 wonderful days at Newmarket last week. I did think, though, when I was coming home, the Dewhurst Stakes, it was quite an unsatisfactory race, really. It was hard to call which of the first 3 was the best horse. But I just was driving home thinking, surely the stalls should be in the centre of the course for these Group 1 races on the straights. And I just thought, with the draw, you had Chindit, the Richard Hannon unbeaten horse. He got messed around with on the inside. And I just thought, you've got a Group 1 race there, and the draw is pivotal to the horse's performance and chances. Had they been in the centre, they could have found out there would have been less unlucky losers in the race. And we might really have got a chance to identify what really was the best horse in the race. But going forward, it's just my opinion. But I would like to see any Group 1 race on a straight course, stalls in the centre.
I think you're absolutely bang on, Pat. Absolutely bang on. Why on earth have Group 1 races when you know there's a massive bias on the straight? As David's already said, he tells his...
I'm not so sure about this. I've got to be honest. I think the 3 horses, they all came wide.
Well, they came wide.
They were outsiders on the rail.
They came wide. They were outsiders on the rail in that particular race, but in other races there wasn't.
But if you have the stalls in the centre, what's to stop them doing that? We used to hate that.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, at least level the playing field a little bit.
David, give us a line on that. Are we bonkers, or should they be in the centre?
No, I think look, it's the job of the jockeys to find the best ground. That's why we pay them. So I think it's for the jockeys to decide where the ground is the best.
You'd be telling them to go to the stands rail anyway, wouldn't you? Let's face it, you've already said that on the show. Wouldn't matter if it was far side. Come over the near side, man. Whatever you're doing. So, David, you're nice and chilled at the moment, David. This is an interesting theme here because you're in great form. You've got a Group 1 favourite tomorrow. But come on, there must be something you can get off your chest.
Well, to be fair, yeah, I was very cool until Keels decided not to back my filly. That's making my blood boil a little bit as we speak.
Listen,
I shall have a small saver.
Oh, there we go. All right, fair enough. Listen, the public and the boys in the yard, they're only going to be getting a bigger price. There are your big calls. Right, 3:05 tomorrow. It's the QE2. It's the milers' turn to shine. This can often be a really wide open race. However, we have got one of the stars of the season leading the market. Palace Pier, Pat Cooney, give us a market update.
Yeah, he's 6-4 on. Now, he's been short ever since he won so impressively last time out. Obviously, early on in the week, when it looked as though Kamiko wouldn't be turning up, we were doing our sums thinking, OK, let's get to as short as we can about him. But he will still be a short price. The each-way move was the Revenant, the French-based horse who goes so well on the soft ground. Palace Pier, he could just be the best horse in the world, couldn't he? I think he's so impressive last time he ran. He's 5 from 5. The punters are going to latch onto him. And if you just compare and contrast, you can back Stradivarius at odds on with a few reservations or Palace Pier at odds on. I think there's no denying, in my opinion, Palace Pier is the safer bet at odds on. I'm just scratching around for alternatives in the race. My eye's drawn to maybe backing Lord Glitters each way or without the favourite market. But you look at them, Palace Pier, I think he's the best around and I expect a big run from him.
There's a big call in itself from Pat Cooney. Palace Pier, the best horse in the world. David, what do you make of that? Does he just win?
I think it's fair. I think he is definitely the best miler in Europe. He seemed in Europe or in the world. I mean, I think he seems to be going on any ground, and in my opinion, tomorrow is running against his children. You know, there's nothing that will get near him.
Okay, that's interesting. So 2 big ticks then. Right, so is this now the favourite?
Well, yeah, I've always been a favourite. I've always been a fan of Palace Pier anyway, and the opposition sort of melted away, hasn't it? I mean, you know, look, the Revenant finished second last year, but I don't think that race was. I don't think anything in that race was as good as Palace Pier. Circus Maximus is tough, but I mean, Palace Pier brushed him aside in France, didn't he? And of course, he's got winning form at the track as well, having won at St James's Palace. You know, it's all there. He's unbeaten.
Is the Revenant the obvious alternative for people that are thinking? Oh,
it's the obvious alternative because it's so weak. I mean, you know, you could, you know, if anyone's doing betting without maybe the front 2, you could find something interesting.
The worry about him, I suppose, is that he wasn't seen, of course, after finishing second.
No, but I think you know, they know that it was going to be soft. It's almost certainly going to be soft ground at Ascot, and he's been primed for one race that he might be able to win. Just unfortunately for him, a very good horse has come up against. Is in the field this time.
Circus Maximus, any love for him?
Circus Maximus. I mean, you know, you can't really knock him. He's tough. He's a very tough horse, and obviously he's won twice at Ascot.
This is tough for you, this race, isn't it? Because this is definitely the race. If you all know Kills out there, you're looking for your Lord Glitters type that will.
Well, I always like to try and find
Accidental
something.
Agent, all these horses, crazy winners that you've put up.
I always like to try and find something, but I can't.
Happy days, Palace Pier. Is he the best horse in the world then? He just wins. Time for the big one then. 340. It is the Champion Stakes, and we've got a returning, defending champion in Magical. She skipped the Fillies and Mares, skipped the Arc this year. Does she just go and win, or are we going to take her on?
She might win. I think she's the right favourite. I mean, her flip-flop, Mishriff was favourite earlier in the week. Personally, couldn't really understand that.
What, Mishriff being favourite, you mean?
Yeah. I personally couldn't understand that. I'll tell you why. He won. Obviously, he's won the French Derby. He's then gone and won a Group 2 in France. He's beaten the same 2 horses each time, the Summit and Victor Lee Durham. What we know is it's an inescapable fact that most of the 3-year-olds in Europe this year are substandard. Palace Pier is actually the only 3-year-old to have won an all-age Group 1 in France, Britain or Ireland this season. And obviously that was at a mile. So the middle distance, they're just not that good. And if Mishriff was that good, where's he been? Why hasn't he run in any of the top Group 1s? He's trained by a trainer who, you know, renowned for rolling the big dice. But
Has Enabled had something to do with that, though, Kills?
Well, he might have done, but you know what I mean?
It's juggling act that Gosden has
he's
to
not
do.
owned by Joe Bloggs. I mean, you know, if I'm an owner, I'm not sitting back and saying, well, hang on a minute, why can't I run? You know what I mean? So the fact is, John Gosden said, no, a horse might absolutely need bottomless ground, but all he's done is beat 2 very average 3-year-olds, and he's now going against older horses for the first time. I think he'll blow out completely myself.
Right.
So I'm looking to take him on. I think Magical is definitely the right favourite, but I cannot understand why Lord North is twice the price of Mishriff and 3 times the price of Magical. That Prince of Wales Stakes form, you could easily argue, is the best bit of form in the race. He won going away. He won very easily from a Dabe. Obviously, a Dabe will prefer the ground being softer this time.
He doesn't mind it, though.
But he doesn't mind it. No, he won on heavy last year. And I don't get the price. He's won slightly below standard race behind Gayath. He was brilliant at York, Gayath.
Yeah.
And he was only just behind Magical that day. He's going to be right on their heels.
I'm surprised that Frankie hasn't gone for this. I mean, David Egan has the retainership as well on. For Prince Faisal as well. He's not got a sniff on Mishriff. So Frankie's obviously dead keen to ride this, isn't he? I looked at Mishriff and I wanted to hit the form of that French Derby a little bit more. But I think the overwhelming majority of horses either won or placed on their next starts. And there was no star in there, you're right. He's been one that's hurting my head. Like you, though, I have omitted him from my top 3.
Yeah. I mean, I can't, at the price, I can't have him. I think he's got a lot to prove running against older horses for the first time. Some tough older horses as well.
So Lord North on top.
Yeah, Lord North on top. But Dave hasn't been out of the first 2 for
I love a Dave for this.
And he's got a cracking chance on ground that he likes. He's going to run his race. He's guaranteed to run his race.
Yeah.
So each way, you really couldn't argue with a bet on him either.
There's another French trader in this called Scaletti as well. Watch back his win on Arc Saturday. He got Budo out of a lot of trouble that day. And it's interesting that he's never run in a Group 1, which is worrying you, isn't it? But this is a horse that will have his ground. He's got a low
Well, he loves
draw.
bottomless ground, but he's a 5-year-old. He's run loads of times, and he's
very
never
talented,
run
Kills.
in a Group 1. He did win easily, and he did get the jockey out of trouble. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, it just baffles me that if you've got a horse that good, why has he never run in a Group 1
That is
before?
bizarre. It is interesting. So I just to summarise what I like before we go to David for the final line on the Champion Stakes, I juggled them all out. I think Dave's got a great chance. Lord North, I think he's over the odds. Mishriff, kick him out. I think Scaletti will have a say. I ended up on Magical.
Yeah, I can't blame her in Magical. She's the right favourite, and she is the most likely winner.
Yeah, and she toughed it out, beating a Dave on ground she probably didn't like last year. I just love the fact that she's been kept for this instead of the Art this year. Anyway, Magical for me. David, tell us who's going to win the Champion Stakes.
Yeah, I think Magical will be very hard to beat. And in fairness, I'm delighted that Aidan decided to go for the champions rather than the Fillies and Mares. But I would just like to say something about the 3-year-olds. And obviously, we all think that the 3-year-olds are not as good as the older horses this year. We just have to, for their defense, we just have to say one thing. The season started in June, so they haven't been able to, horses can only improve by running, and obviously, if they could have managed to start the season in April, I think they would have been better now in October than what they're showing. So I couldn't write off Mishriff. I think he's done nothing wrong, and he has a terrific turn of foot. He's by make-believe. He will absolutely love the ground. I think the only thing he will lack really is the experience, and I'm pretty sure he will be a much better horse next year. This year, I think Magical will be extremely hard to beat. Adeb will have his condition. He's a very tough horse, and he will try his best, but I don't think Magical can get beat.
There you go. We knew we'd get a big call out of him somewhere, didn't we? And there it was. And again, he's got a target on your back.
Yeah, absolutely. Disagree with me again.
Absolutely. These are going to be decent 4-year-olds. Yeah, absolutely. Good. David Menuisier, great line. So listen, sometimes the Champion Stakes gets beaten with a stick, doesn't it, each year for a lack of competition. Not that this year at all. It is indeed truly magical. Right, then closing the card. A lot of people got mixed views about this. It is a handicap, the Balmoral handicap. Where do we go? Pat Cooney, give us a market update, and then we'll pick out the form contenders.
Well, Brian Meehan is the favourite at the moment. Raik, who won so impressively last time out, and that's the 3-year-old going places. That infamous could be a group horse in a handicap line is tagged onto him. He's a solid favourite. Keats of Aidan O'Brien. Aidan O'Brien in the handicap at Ascot is always going to attract some degree of interest. I thought an interesting horse was King Ottakar, Charlie Fellows. Bit of a mudlark. Form figures 5'9", 5'5". That doesn't tell the true story. I think he's a well-handicapped horse. James Doyle aboard has been a mover. But there's a who's who of horses that run at Ascot on a handicap. There's Tempest, Raising Stand, Blue Mist. They all rock up for the gig, so a wide-open race. But Raik, Brian Meehan's favourite. But King Ottakar for me, I think.
A handicapper would put about another £10 on Raik, I think, wouldn't he, if he could do it again, after he won very impressively on ground that we weren't sure about. And we had Brian Meehan on the show a couple of weeks ago. He told us how highly he thought of this horse.
Yeah, it's certainly give him another £5. I think he's officially £5 well in. Only doubt is he beat a bunch of exposed horses. I mean, Briansky's been around forever.
I backed Briansky that day, sorry.
I think I did as well. But he's... you can say that, but he did win incredibly easily. When you look at the race, there ain't a great deal of pace either, and he's a prominent racer, and it might, it might be run to suit him.
He's on the far side.
He's on the far side. I think next door to him is the one I like, though, Njord for Jessica Harrington.
Oh, I backed this last time. What happened?
Well, I'll tell you what happened last time. It was a typical example of a handicapper going first time up in class. I mean, Dave, I don't know what happened with Thunder in Blue when he first went up in class out of handicappers, but the slower early tempo, it takes him a while to get used to it, and he was just so keen early doors. So you can write that off. He should have won the Irish Cambridgeshire. He got the door shut right in his face a couple of furlongs out, just as he was starting to charge home, and he ran on again afterwards. And was beaten 11 3/4. The handicapper dropped him £2 for that. I was staggered. I mean, I was staggered. In fact, he went off quite a short price favourite for the listed race next time on the back of that run. He's got stacks of big field handicap form on soft ground. He was beaten in a photo twice at the Galway Festival, over a mile and 1.5 and over 7 furlongs. So he's got, he's versatile. And Jessica Harrington has booked Tom Marquand. as well. I think he's got a great chance.
Yeah, Tom Marquand, he's been getting on some horses this season and he does just make their minds up. It's been a fantastic adage to go for so far. I like Bell Rock, a horse that we've been with a bit.
I'm a fan of Bell Rock too. I wonder if he wants further.
I said this to you. I can't believe you're saying this to me now. I've said he needs further, and you said, I just think he needs the leaders to come back.
Well, I said he needed a strong pace, but he didn't get a strong pace in the Cambridgeshire, and now he's going down a furlong, and he ain't going to get a strong pace here either.
Every time he runs,
me.
he catches the eye, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And it was the ground that I was slightly worried about. It's drying up slightly. I've just gone with him. But there are 4 or 5 in this I could have gone with. Rake, I could just see him being a potential blot. And Ropey Guest, who I talked up for the challenge. I genuinely think at big prices he would have won that, but this is definitely tougher. I will have a little bit on him, but Bell Rock on top for me. David, let's come to you on Paul's line there. Let's see if you rubbish this one. This will be the hat trick of rubbishes. But do you think that Rake, could that be the danger for him? The lack of experience, the different tempo in the race, or is he talking absolute contour?
No, that wasn't what I was saying, was it?
I thought you just
I
just said
about
about Nord.
Nord.
That's why he got beaten last time.
He got beat last time, yeah.
But this one says I could catch Rayek out. That's my link. That's my tenuous
it's not
link.
going to catch Rayek out, is it? Nord's going to be better for it. Well, go on, get on with it.
Are we talking Codswallop, David?
No, look, I mean, the favourite looks thrown in because he's, 5 pounds ahead, I think, at the weights. But I don't think he'll beat Tempest. I think Tempest will win. He's by the same sire as Palace Pier, and he seems to go on any ground. I think the Cambridgeshire was furlong too far. I think the race is proper tailored for him, so I think he'll win, and I think it would be great for Jason Watson as well.
Yeah, Jason Watson, definite resurgence for Jason, and very much deserved at that. We were going to give it short shrift, but it's the Balmoral. It ends the card. It's a cracker. Okay, time for the My Racing double. Each week, the guys at myracing.com come on the show and give us a double. Who are they going for this week? It's going to be Palace Pier in the 305, keeping it simple. Also, in the following Champion Stakes. That's right, they're going for the defending champion, Magical. Check out myracing.com, expert views and tips and analysis. Time for your weekend 4-timer. Here are the naps coming your way. And having poo-pooed Pat Cooney the other week, we're going to Fontwell while there was a massive flat weekend on. I'm going to Market Raisin in the 321. Midnight's Gift. Check out the run of that banger last time. It wants this trip for Alan King. It's a competitive handicap. I think it will take it out. Pat Cooney, got anything to say about
that? Yes, I'm going to an obscure race as well, Dave. I'm going for the 321 at Market Raisin.
Well, it's not Midnight's Gift as well, is it?
No, I'm going for Palladium.
I thought you were a judge, Pat. I thought you were a judge.
Last time we saw this guy, we pulled up in the Boodles, or we'd call it the Fred Winter in old currency. But he went off 5-1 that day, and I think it was a rush preparation to get him to Cheltenham to have the requisite number of runs and so forth. I know the stable rate him highly. He was 137 in the Boodles. He starts off at 137. The step up in trip, I think, is going to be the making of him. I expect him to have a good season. Maybe Midnight's Gift has a fitness advantage on him. I get wisdom in that. But I think Palladium will end up the season a lot better than his current 137. And Nicky Henderson, he wouldn't turn up at Market Raisin too often, I don't think. So, I'm going for Palladium in a pretty hot-looking race, I think.
No apologies then. 321 at Market Raisin. There's your forecast. Make sure you put Midnight's Gift on top, of course. Kealy?
I'm going to keep it simple. I think in terms of price, on the form of his Prince of Wales win, Lord North should be half the price he is. So, Lord North in the Champion Stakes.
Bringing it back to the flat. David Menuisier, give us an app.
Well, look, there's a filly by Le Havre running in the 3rd race at Ascot tomorrow, which I really like, and that Gilles didn't back. But I don't want to jinx it, so I go for Tempest in the Balmoral at Ascot.
It's amazing how many of us think about jinxing in horse racing. It's one of the most ridiculous things in it, but sod's law, as I'm sure viewers out there will say, is one of the biggest things, isn't it? Listen, David, we wish you absolute luck with that. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Happy days. Look out for David's Twitter feed when Wonderful Tonight goes and wins the Fillies Mares tomorrow. Keels, thanks for coming back.
Yeah, no problem.
Happy days.
Forward to it.
Lord North, what are we doing tomorrow on the sofa, or are we out?
Well, I think in the next few days nobody's going to be allowed out very soon, are they? So yeah, no, it'll be indoors and quiet tomorrow.
Yeah, cheering from afar at Ascot will also be Pat Cooney, I imagine.
Yes, absolutely. And just trying to get my national hunt head on as well, because the season really kicks in now, doesn't it? We've got our Charlie Hall in a couple of weeks' time at Weatherby. So I'll have to do a bit of homework and brush up on who the jump horses are.
Yeah, more than a whiff of jumpers in the air then. Well, thanks for watching then this week's What a Shout. Myself, David Orton, signing off. And we're all feeling champion. Do hone in on Ascot. Don't forget to gamble responsibly. 6 races. You want to be there at the end. So important that is. Don't forget, of course, to download the free Racing Post app. You can do it on the App Store with the free Google Play Store itself. So, from me, David Orton, goodbye.